Like, I thought that that was the, like, epitome of beauty,
For sure.
you know?
Yep.
And now I'm kinda like, "Oh, well, you know what?" Not going based off of how I feel, but, like, based off of, like, what actually looks good to me. What looks better on me? Is it longer hair or shorter hair? So
Mhm, mhm. Yep. I get that for sure. I played sports, so having short hair and being an athlete was, like, not did not go well together, especially basketball in particular, like, track and field, maybe not as much, but,
mhm.
yeah, long hair was definitely, equated to femininity in ways that short hair was not.
Alright, let me pull up this and let's get started with media live. Let's go.
I'm dead.
Hello, 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 and welcome back to another episode of Basically Unbothered. Today we are joined by I know your name is Egosa, but the
Yeah.
full name.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, Obaizamomwan Hamilton.
Wow.
Mhm.
I don't want to sound like cliche. That is just so cool.
I appreciate it. Nigerian name.
Are you Nigerian or is your name just
I'm Nigerian, yeah, first generation.
how? What is that like?
Oh, I mean, my parents immigrated in the '80s, and we grew up in a very traditional Nigerian home, like, in terms of the expectations, in terms of the food, cultural
Mhm,
knowings, but, then we would go to school and, like, people would look at us and we're Black kids, until they learned or heard our names, and so very interesting juxtaposition growing up for sure.
mhm. I don't understand that fully, especially when I was younger, but I've been on this journey of just kinda, like, understanding myself more, and my mom is born and raised in St. Thomas. So, she comes from Afro-Caribbean, Afro-West Indian culture, and for so long, I just didn't understand, like, why my, like, upbringing was just so different than some of my friends that I went to school with, and rules and everything like that, and, just very small, subtle things, and then, as I got older, I was like, "Oh, this makes" like, some of the things that I was raised on is different,
Yep. Very, very
and
different.
I didn't realize that until I went to there's a, HBCU in St. Thomas. It's the UVI, and I went there for a semester, and they were all talking about their parents and, like, just weird Caribbean mom guilt things or whatever, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, my mom does that."
Yep.
Is that where, like, this makes so much more sense now, you know?
Percent.
And that's kind of, like, changed things, and also just understanding the way that you view things is different.
100%.
A lot of people think, like, black is black, but it's so, like, not the case, you know?
Yes, even within Nigeria, depending on which tribe your family is from, could be very different, right? So, Caribbean, African, Black American, Southern Black, there are
Mhm.
so many different levels.
Yeah, everybody behaves differently, everybody kind of acts differently, the way that you were raised, your beliefs. Like, I recently had a big, like, mess up or a thing, and it involved, like, alcohol. And, in Caribbean culture, it's not really a big deal.
Mm,
And so when I grew up, I wasn't very much into drinking or anything, but if I wanted a sip of my mom's wine or whatever, she would give it to me. And it always would be like, this isn't something that you need to do. It was always followed by a lecture, but it was never something, serious. And also in, like, St. Thomas, they can drink at 18.
yeah.
And my mom talks about, like, how for a carnival, her aunt used to spike the punch as a kid. I'm like, "Mom, that's not okay." Like, that maybe not be okay, but the way that they view alcohol is different. Like, my cousin was telling me how my grandpa used to do the same for her. He would give her, like, little sips here and there if she wanted it, and then I had a run-in with a situation, realized that, like, Americans, like, what we like to call, like, states, don't feel the same way, and that
Mhm.
just depends on also where you are, like, if you go a little bit more Southern, they don't care as much, but it was very interesting to it was, like, the first time I had a real culture shock.
Yeah, 100%. And I think with alcohol, like, a lot of people argue that the parents that are like the way that you describe your mom, it actually works out better because there's not that weird, like, "Ooh, I gotta try it, I gotta get it because 'cause it's been restricted for 21 years and now," and so some people will just say that's actually a better approach to getting your child to understand and be aware of alcohol.
And I think I would agree with that, I always thank my mom for her kind of approach on it because it wasn't something that was hidden. And honestly, after the novelty of like, "Ooh, let me taste this" wore off, I was like, "Oh, this is disgusting.
Yeah, it didn't even taste good.
Why are you drinking this?" But, it was my mom would go out and she would have, like, her margarita nights, and I always knew what her margarita was, and I could, like, order her margarita for her, but I never it was always something that was, "This is just something that's social," I think it really helped me as an adult, and when I was a kid, I didn't drink. I didn't drink at parties, I didn't do any of that at parties. I was the sober one because I was like, you guys are looking dumb and doing dumb stuff for something you don't even like the taste of.
Yeah,
Like,
definitely.
this is crazy, but I would fall on that stance. I agree that when you stop making something taboo, you, like, lessen the effects of or the ability for people to just go and do it because, "Oh, I'm not supposed to. This is me teenage rebelling," you know?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And I'm
But
similar. I was a sober all the way through college. I think not till I was like 22, really, like, and I
Mhm.
just it was nasty, and I also was like, people are throwing up outside of windows. It's just not my cup of tea, you know?
Yeah, like, why are we doing this? Honestly, I probably had maybe a couple of drinks under 21.
Mhm.
And it was just more of I was hanging around a lot of people who were doing it, and I'm a very curious person, so I kinda wanted to understand, and then one day I got, like, super sick. I was like, "No, this is stupid. I'm not doing this," and I didn't touch anything until I was 21, and I honestly wasn't gonna drink when I was 21, but a lot of people were like, "Come on, just try it," and I had, like, a fishbowl, and I was like, "This is disgusting. Why are we doing this? Give me a
Right.
margarita."
Right. For sure.
Okay, so diving into something else, let's learn more about you. Do you wanna, like, fully introduce yourself to everybody, let everybody know who you are, what it is that you do, everything like that?
Yeah, for sure. Eghosa, I'm a scholar. I work in teacher education right now. I come from a background of K through 12 teaching. I taught secondary education for 16 years before finishing my doctorate at the University of San Francisco.
Mhm,
And now I'm in the academy and working on multiple things, papers, books, and trying to utilize education as a pathway to um, liberation in ways that seem a little obfuscated under this current timeline that we're in.
mhm. Oh, I've trust me, I understand that. I've been doing, like, a recapped version of the podcast as well, where I go over shows, and I was watching The Traitors US,
Yeah.
and I realized that I r my what I recorded and I said was, "I'm not going to watch something that repeats what's happening in our society right now on like, this is supposed to be entertainment, not news."
Yeah, for real. Yep, agreed.
And yeah, you're right, like, in this current climate is just so
Depraved. It's a lot.
it is a lot, and I mean, I'm fully and belief that people have their own beliefs and their own opinions and they don't have to like align with you and everything that way. But there's a difference between believing something differently and just like openly expressing hate and inviting it in type of thing?
Mhm. Yeah, and I mean, I would argue too, if your beliefs are rooted in subjugating any group of people, then I'm not
Hmm.
sure that we can kind of call that just beliefs, right? You're perpetuating dehumanization in ways that are really dangerous to not only the groups that you're targeting, but like everybody ultimately, as we can see with what's happening right now. You target one group that doesn't exclude other groups from also bearing the brunt of those things. And so,
Hmm.
yeah,
It's I don't want to talk too much on it because it's like such a depressing, heavy topic. But
for sure.
yes, so you have a doctorate. What is your doctorate in?
I got my doctorate at the International Multicultural Education.
Mhm.
and focuses racial justice. And my dissertation, which is like the core research hub, centered really Black methodologies, Black hair, and Black educational studies.
How did you get into all of that?
That research focus,
Yeah, yeah.
well, really, it was rooted in my own discovery. I started grad school 2020, so right before the COVID school shutdowns. And
Mhm.
I was really happy to be home because I didn't have to go to my place of work. I taught in a suburban school. There were not other Black women educators there. It didn't feel great to go on campus every day, even though I love my students. And so during COVID-19, being home and still being able to teach and engage with students, I was like, oh, this is so fire. And that is when I started my lock journey as well. It was during the shutdowns. And so for me, starting my lock journey at that time and also looking at like research and then thinking about, as we talked about, I started teaching and came in with pressed hair,
Mhm.
straight hair. And I started doing protective styles. And then I finally got locks. And I was like, I wonder how my teaching has been impacted by these evolutions with my hair, because those
Mhm.
evolutions with my hair are reflective of where I'm at. And so that's what spawned the research. And I wanted to know if other Black women educators were having similar experiences. Was their hair impacting their pedagogy, their understanding of self, therefore their teacher identity? That's kind of
Mhm.
what started this research trajectory.
I think that's so cool. I actually started my lock journey a little bit before COVID, and
Hmm.
I had to when I was in, like, the what they call, like, the ugly phase or the teenage budding phase, I count myself very blessed because I had to figure it out, but, during COVID, so when I was not really, feeling my locks, I could just be like, "Oh, I'm not going outside anyways."
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
So but
Mhm.
I also started my journey, and I remember even my mom in the beginning was a little skeptical about me getting locks, and I come from a family who has locks.
Hmm. Okay.
So, my aunt has locks, 2 of my aunts have locks, my uncle has locks, my mom had locks, and she's getting her locks back. But my mom I had curly hair, and so my mom loved my
I
curly hair,
know.
and I finally had gotten to embrace it around, like, 2016, 2017. But that was after I went through a long period of having to get all the chemicals out and get my curls back and things.
Mhm.
Um, but another one of my friends, when I told her, because she has locks as well, when I told her I wanted locks, she said, "Well, just be careful because it might prevent you from getting jobs."
Mm. Mhm.
And I will say that I've been very blessed that the jobs that I've had, I haven't ran into that issue,
Yeah.
but I am very aware of it in certain circles that I exist in.
Mhm.
But we are gonna talk a little bit more about that later as I pour myself a nice hot cup of tea. We're gonna get into our pop culture roundup. Indie authors are out here building worlds, breaking rules, and telling stories you won't find on the bestsellers list. And not only can indie authors do it just as good as published authors, but they can often do it better. On Indie Ink Podcast, we interview indie authors every month about their books, their process, and what keeps them going when no one's watching.
One of the
Yeah.
best pieces of advice I received, once you start getting negative reviews, it means that your book is reaching outside of your target audience. And
Yeah.
when she said that, I thought that was such a wonderful way to look at it.
Jean-Paul Sartre, he's French, with No Exit says that hell is other people. Like, to be in hell is to be like with other people. The thesis of this book, or like what I thought about when I thought about like what would be like the ultimate hell for me personally.
If you love stories behind the stories, this podcast is for you. Check out Indie Ink Podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. All right, Unbothered fam, let's talk taxes for a second because I am very particular about one thing. I like to get my taxes done early and out of the way so I can be stress free for the rest of the year. No last minute panic, no scrambling, no vibes being ruined. That's why I want to put my unbothered fans onto SSB Legacy Tax Services LLC. Samantha is a small business tax professional whose whole focus is getting you the maximum refund while making the process clear and easy. She also offers cash advances up to $7,500, $75 referral bonuses, and actually takes the time to educate you so you know what's happening with your money. And because we are all unbothered together, I'm going to give you an in. If you text unbothered to 586-345-1055, you will receive $50 off your tax prep fees. Early, easy, stress free, just how we like it. It has a little, I love little songies. It has like its own little
So yes,
songy thing.
have you seen the Black creators doing all the jingles, making all the jingles?
No.
Really?
Oh my gosh, no.
They're trying to bring jingles back. There's one creator, her name is Romeo or Romello. And she made a little Dr. Pepper jingle just because. You seen that? And then it
I
went
have not.
viral. And then she got a paid advertising during a commercial. And now she has a connection with Vita Coco. She's basically getting like deals to do jingles. And then there are just a lot of Black people like, oh, we can get paid off of jingles. And we creative and we musical
Yeah,
people.
yeah.
Everybody was doing their little jingles for all these companies. I was like loving it. Yeah, bring back the jingles.
I love a jingle. I miss jingles. Jingles, we forgot that like our brain remembers jingles more than
Exactly.
I remember anything else.
Exactly.
I love jingles. Now I'm going to spend the rest of my Saturday going down this
You
jingles.
gotta find it. Yes.
I'm gonna have to look it up.
Yes.
Okay. Our first topic today is that Keke Palmer says she never wants to live with a romantic partner, even if she is married.
Mm.
What do you think about that?
I understand, I think, like I think when I first met my partner, I had said like I can actually I think I could be living separately forever. Like I don't think there's like an issue with it. Like
Mhm.
my space, it stays the way I need it to stay. It's as clean as I would like it to be, and we can
Mhm.
still be connected. So for me, it made sense at that time. I think now, especially with having a toddler, that's not the household that I would have set up. We have a community here, and there's beauty in all of us being together as much as
Mhm.
we are. But yeah, when I was younger, I definitely was with Keke Palmer. I was like, there's no need. Like, my house is gonna be clean. It's gonna be orderly. I'm gonna know where everything is. We do though share. We don't have the same bathroom. That was like my one line. Different bathrooms because I'm very particular about that space and and I can't have that be chaotic. So separate bathrooms has been really fantastic. What do you
I
think?
I think that separate space in general is really important. I'm the opposite. When I was younger, I was like, I want to live with you. I want you all in my space. Older me, I don't know if I would say that I don't want to live with a romantic partner. I've always said that I don't have to be with my person 24/7, right? Like, I'm totally okay if my person has to do a lot of travel, isn't here, because I like my space. I love my space.
Mhm.
Um, and, as I explored myself more, like I'm open to poly relationships and I've been talking about how I've considered like having two boyfriends. And
Mhm.
I was like, I always want to have in my mind the way that it looks when everything kind of gets bigger for me is that I have a house somewhere where it's like kind of a little bit more remote and quiet. And then I have a loft space closer to a city.
Mhm.
That's like my space. But I
Mhm.
have always said that I want to have my own bedroom. Like
Mhm.
I want me and all my partners have our own bedroom so that we can have our own space. So I can decorate my bedroom however I want it to be. You can have your bedrooms wherever and we can sleep in one person's bedroom or another person's bedroom or whatever. Like that's not the problem. But having your own space to me is so important.
I'm not mad at that at all. I don't know when you talk about separate bedrooms, I'm not mad at that idea either. And I can see myself like I'm not trying to spend the night over there because I don't know if you wash your sheets in the last 3 weeks. Like I don't know what you got going on, so I can see that happening. But like I do
Yeah.
like the idea of the individual expression and space, but you're still connected for sure.
Yeah. We're still in the, you're still in the same house, but the idea that we have to spend every single moment together is taken away. If you need some time to have alone time, you have like it's not like the cliche man cave or
Yeah.
woman's whatever it's called. Like you just have your own designated space where if you need to reach, like even if sometimes when you're in a relationship, you take it personal. If they're like, I just want to be alone right now. But when you're in your room, you don't even have to say it kind
Yep.
of thing. If you're in your room and your door's closed, my brain is automatically like, oh, they need some alone time. I'm going to do whatever, I want to do and keep
Yeah.
my day going.
That's so
And
true.
it's also good if you have like different schedules sometimes too.
Yes. If somebody got to wake up at 3 a.m. to get their workout out and they're not messing with your sleep. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Or like, cool, you're waking up at 3 a.m. I'm going to go back lay in my bed, right? Go back to sleep, get my sleep on. You can do whatever you want in your room to get
Yeah.
ready for the rest of your day. And
Yeah.
it doesn't bug me. So I was not hating on either. Was she married before?
No, but she has a baby father that
Yeah,
she,
yeah.
well, but no marriage.
And that went like not good, I
Yeah,
think.
because he was saying some wild sexist stuff about how she should be dressing because she's a mom, and that kind of,
Oh,
and he was
yeah.
also abusive, I believe, too. Like, so yeah, a mess.
It always makes me really sad when these beautiful, successful, powerful Black women get into these relationships that like,
Yep.
and it frustrates me because I can fully like imagine what how she sees this in her head, from like past things that have happened. And also kind of the fear of that. There's a thing that's going on right now where people see successful Black women and they want to they are attracted to that, but they're attracted to the idea that they could make them into this like soft woman era where they don't work. And, like the Drake song where he says, why do I want an independent woman to feel like she needs me kind of thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I
That's
can definitely see where she's coming from this. And honestly, everybody's going to have their opinion about it. I don't have opinions on how people choose to live their lives.
right.
If that's the thing that's going to make you happy, if honestly, if not only is that the thing that's going to make you happy, but if that's the thing that's going to make your relationship successful, to me, that's all that matters.
Agree. Period.
Um, okay. Our next topic, which is still talking about Black women, but in a completely different subject, is Nicki Minaj. As
Yep.
I Oh, so I said this on Recapped, and I've said this for a really long time. I've never really liked Nicki Minaj.
Thank you. Same. Okay. I don't meet a lot of us. I don't meet a lot of us. Like, people either had a Nicki phase or something, but like, yeah, something has always been a little off. Not that I didn't like some of her songs, right?
Yeah.
Monster, the verse, all that, cool. But
I've always said that she's been a better rapper in other people's music, that like when she's featured in other people's songs
for
than
sure.
she is in her own music. But one of the first things that really frustrated me is her like dubious history into rap and how a lot of people don't know, she was hanging out with DeBrad and like a whole different crowd until Lil Wayne kind of discovered her really. And that's when she got all of the surgeries and changed her entire body to fit into this image. She changed like her rapping style, everything. And to me, there's always something suspect about that.
For sure. Because it shows like how far will you be willing to go for some idea of success. And if it's changing your style, your body, your morals, etc., I don't know if I can trust you.
Right. And then what really made me mad was when she did Anaconda. I hate Anaconda. I know everybody loves that song. I mean, is it very catchy? Yes. But there's a part in the song where she says like fuck skinny bitches. And nobody pays it. It's like towards the end of the song. Nobody pays attention to it. And it was the most self-hate statement that I think I've ever seen someone use, because she was skinny
Yeah.
before she got all the surgeries and she changed her body.
Yeah.
So it was like, you're saying F the body that you had before. Like that's weird.
Yeah.
And also I didn't like that. I didn't like that the music video was overtly sexy, and I don't like that she did this whole era where black female rappers had to be overtly sexy to get attention.
Mhm.
I hated that era. I hate that that's still kind of the era of rap female. Like, shout out to Doechii
Mhm.
for like breaking that whole barrier. You know what I mean?
I
But
love
I've
Doechii.
hated.
I love Doechii. Ben liked her when she was doing like more R&B stuff
Mhm.
too. But I will say, like, Nicki Minaj was in this particular era where she was like the rapper, the woman rapper. She was like the only one for a while where,
Yeah.
yep, we had range. We had your MC Lights and your Queen Latifahs. We also had your Little Kims and your Foxy Browns, but there was like nuance, right? Whereas with Nicki, that particular era, it was like she was the rapper. And where we are now, I'm kind of loving, we have the Cardi B and the Megan Thee Stallion. We also have the Doechii and the No Name, and we also have Rhapsody. Like,
Yeah.
I'm liking it as a fan of like hip hop. I just like that there's range. I really dislike when there's like one way. Like, if Cardi B is the only way, right? Whether you love her music or not, that's limiting to all the possibilities of being a black woman. So to have
Mhm.
Cardi B and Doechii, to have Queen Latifah and Little Kim, that's where I'm like, okay, cool,
Yeah. I agree. And, it was interesting because when we started having more rappers come in, even when, what is her name that was in jail for so long and she was on Love and Hip Hop?
Oh, Remy Ma?
Remy Ma, yeah. When Remy Ma started coming back and immediately Nicki Minaj was like, I have beef with you. And it was like,
Oh my
that's,
gosh. Yeah.
and then the best thing in the world is that Lil Wayne and Drake are problematic. I'm not negating that, but they were like my favorite rappers growing
No
up.
way. Really?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't, it was more about like their rap style
Yeah,
than anything else. And they, terrible or not, they're like rhyme scheme and their intelligence was
sure.
something that I was attracted to.
Mhm.
But the idea that they thought that they could go against Terror Squad in a rap battle was just hilarious to me.
Mhm.
And that started the era where like Nicki Minaj started to become really jealous of all of these female rappers coming up in the game, and she had to
Yeah.
start beef with all of them.
Yeah, for sure.
And that made me mad because there's so much room at like you all could continue to progress and progress and progress this music, but you're sitting here being here.
And that's
And
why I could never be a fan. Could
no,
never, could never.
me neither. So I say all that to say we're in the era right now. Well, it started, and I had no idea about this because I don't follow her. She doesn't pop up on my timelines, none of the news story that she does. I mean, every once in a while, something big happens, like her marriage to, he was
Yeah.
like convicted of sexual assault or something like that,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yep.
Those things kind of popped out. And again, people excused it. And I'm like, yo, that's wild.
Mhm.
Um, but it started with her deciding that she wanted to promote the soft girl era,
Mm.
which I'm all for. I'm working on embracing both sides, like the yin and yang of myself, and realizing that I don't have to be so hard or into my masculine energy all the time, but that's a part of who I am. But promoting it as the only way to be
Mhm.
is just wild coming from someone who, I mean, granted, she built her career with Lil Wayne and Drake, but she still built her career. Um, that was the first part where I was like, okay, this is damaging because you created this era where you did help women feel more independent, and now you're saying, all of my fans, that's wrong. This is the way you need to go. And that's one of the biggest issues with this like stands and this increased fandom and thinking that like these people that you love or that you like or what however you feel about them are gold. For
Mhm.
instance, I love Neo. Whatever he's doing right now, I can't be with.
Oh, I was not expecting Neo to come out of anybody's mouth for stand up.
Whatever he's doing now, I cannot join him in this
Yeah.
era
Yeah.
at all. Do I still love his music? I feel like in the last year or so, it's been declining for a while. I think he started off making music from his heart, and then he realized that he had to sell whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm not jumping on this train and be like, "Oh, Neo's right and everything." I'm like, "No, no, that man is wrong. He made great music, but that man is wrong." And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people don't have that discernment. And now we get into the era where she is backing our current president. And that is just, she is backing our current president while everything is going on with ICE and with the protests where conservatives are backing away. And how did we get here?
I think it goes full circle to what you said in the beginning, right? She
Mhm.
changed everything about her to get to success.
Mhm.
She used surgery and now she's hating on skinny folks. She herself is an immigrant, but in order to get to success, she needs to be closer to this administration. So she's hating on the very community that she came from. If it seems this is her ethos as a person, which is why
Mhm.
for me I repel against folks like this. And I think um the stands I always read that her fans were a lot younger, so there might be something with that, but to have admiration or love or joy with a celebrity that you don't personally know that blocks your ability to be critical, I think is also exactly why we have the type of leadership we have right now, right?
Mhm.
If you can look past racism, if you can look past ableism, if you can look past sexism and
Mhm.
you're going to look past the pedophilia. You're going to look past the stealing and of funds. You're going to look past all those things because you've set that stage. So I actually think it's really dangerous that we have such a lot of people online call it parasocial type of
Mhm.
relationship where people become so invested in said person that they no longer have the discernment to say that's actually not okay. They just keep moving their own line. So if you come in as a fan of Donald Trump from when he was on The Apprentice and you stood on business when it came to, sexual assault, but you moved that line because your love for him is so strong. We have a society that has really shaky foundations, right? And it's not safe. So all of that kind of circles back to the way we think about these celebrities. And I'm a fan of Love Island myself as a show. And so there are some stars that come
Whoa.
to Love Island. There was one star from last season 7. Her name is Huda, came out with I did not like not one bit of her because she was wild in the villa, but she came out with like 8 followers or whatever, million followers.
Mhm.
And she has done stuff that shows her lack of emotional maturity, that shows that she has some biases, especially when it comes to Black women, that shows that she's okay with things like letting someone use the N word. As that, but her stands are like, it's fine. Everything keeps moving. The needle keeps moving. And I think to bring it also to our beginning conversation about the world that we have today, if you start moving the needle, we get into a dangerous time where we're accepting behavior that is dehumanizing or dangerous for people because the needle is not permanent.
Yeah. Yeah, I will agree. I mean, my feelings for Huda are a little different. I don't excuse her behavior. I truly believe that she has a lot of emotional immaturity. I listened to her Call Her Daddy thing, and when she talked about a lot of her upbringing and things that happened in her childhood, it's clear that she still has to grow emotionally, which is why I don't excuse some of her behaviors, but I do understand the response. Like I understand the response when you're not trained to be in front of like that's the only thing I hate about the like Love Island people is that they're not trained to be in front of this limelight, and immediately they're thrust into it and you don't know what to do and you make mistakes because you don't know what to do. You know what I mean? And I think that the situation where, the N-word was dropped and she laughed, to me was indicative of someone who maybe not I mean, we all have our biases, but to me, it was someone who is just so uncomfortable and doesn't know what to do that their immediate response is to be jocular and to not take something serious. And I think that that was something that she had to really like hopefully had to really look into herself and be like, oh, I can't. Something that may have been at a time for me where someone has said it and I think it's crazy and wild, but my response is to laugh at it. I can't do that anymore. I'm a public figure. And my hope is that maybe she learns from that. But in general, Love Island is wild.
I love Love Island. I really had a hard time with season 7 because I felt like Huda got a lot of grace. She gets a lot of grace that I've never seen a Black woman from any Love Island, UK, Australia, USA get.
Yeah.
I have never seen a cast member from any of them cuss people out, cuss out the men that she's dating, cuss out new people, just act like the immature, and that's fine. It's just, it highlights the lack of flexibility the world has for Black women. Cause I have seen Black women do 2% of what she's done and then they're
And
canceled.
get right. And I think that's what, to me, bring it back to like Nicki Minaj, that's what's so frustrating. I made a comment that that went kind of like crazy. And it was saying that I wasn't dating and I'm not currently dating Black men. And I preface it by saying I love Black men. I wanted to have Black men, but I was saying that there's a like lack of accountability in the dating sphere of it right now, especially with like podcast bros, that although there are amazing Black men out there, it's quite dangerous sometimes to get into it. And I made a comment to someone who was, kind of trying to go back and forth with me about it, is that as Black women, we hold each other accountable, right? Like in our minds, we're always thinking what I do, what I say is either going to pave the way for someone else or is going to hurt someone else. And I have to, I think about when I go to Ulta and someone messes up my order or something happens, and I immediately am frustrated that I have to like calm down. Because if I go into a certain sphere of energy, then I'm not only hurting myself and I'm going to be classified as the angry Black woman, but I'm also hurting every other Black woman, And I think that with the Nicki Minaj thing, that is what's so frustrating. And also, like with Candace Owens and things like that, it's frustrating because the way I see it is you do represent all of us. And is that a crazy burden to have on our shoulders? Absolutely. It's not fucking fair. But is it the reality of what is happening, especially when you reach a level that's that high? Yeah. So what are like when you have fans, when you have people following you, you have a responsibility. And when you don't take that responsibility serious, that's when it's frustrating. And when you turn your back on the people who supported you, that's like I don't even understand. I don't like the fact that she is an immigrant, the fact that, she is a Black woman, and I get it. What a lot of people want for safety and security is to have like white proximity, but I just wonder if they think about all of the little Black girls or young Black women that they're betraying when they make these decisions.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I think very nuanced conversation, right? Like Nicki Minaj, we have to also talk about colorism. Candace Owens, we have to talk about proximity to whiteness, right? All these things. And I think on the flip side, for us too, like we have to talk about the lack of ability to be individuals, right? Like there's a dehumanization in that expectation that is put on us. And when I used to teach high school, I used to talk about this example using Tupac and Eminem. Like Eminem, he was doing some criminal stuff, he was bopping people over the head with the gun. But when he went to trial, Eminem was on trial, right? Eminem did X, Y, and Z to his ex-girlfriend's boyfriend. But when Tupac went on trial, hip hop was on trial. It was hip hop
Yeah.
as a genre is on trial. Look at the violence of this genre. Look at X, Y, and Z. He wasn't able to be an individual. And I think there's a lot of like harm with that, right? So I think in part, it's a both and. Yes, as Black women, we do have more of this responsibility. And historically, many of us have stepped up, right? When you go all the way back to enslaved people and what Black women were doing during that time to now, we have stepped up. And we also need to think about what it means to exist in a society where we never really get to be individuals. We don't get to make mistakes and it be our mistake in the way that someone like Eminem or what's her face, Taylor Swift can do. Yeah, exactly that.
We don't have enough time in the world, and I don't have enough energy to fight off Swifties for the rest of my life.
Didn't even think about the Swifties. All right. Hey, we good.
But I agree with you. There's a lot of grace that's given to, and I am an Eminem fan, right?
Yeah. He was lit back in the day.
He was lit. I mean, he was lit back in the day. I think one of my biggest things, I like people who stand on business, whether it's good or bad. I don't like people who flip flop. But if I know exactly, like Cardi B, for instance, I don't really like her music, but she has always been who she is. She got a whole bunch of money. She never changed. She's always been who she is. So
Mhm.
I definitely do like that. But I agree. Like there's a you don't get to be an individual, and that affects, the things and the way that people see you. And even when you have conversations now, the next thing when you are talking about how conservative rhetoric is dangerous for people of color and for women of color, and then someone's going to be like, oh well, look at Nicki Minaj,
Yeah.
and you're just going to be like, all right,
Yeah.
okay.
Mhm. Exactly.
Because to them that deadens the argument, because
And that's
one person out of an
exactly.
entire community.
And
um
that's where we stop talking because it doesn't make sense. You're
no,
not gonna do this.
it doesn't make sense. But hopping off of all the craziness and into something that's a little bit lighthearted, but not lighthearted,
Mhm.
Kelly Clarkson has decided to step away from her talk show. On Monday, she shared that the Kelly Clarkson Show, by the way, which I've never watched, I'm not a talk show girly, will wrap up the seventh season, a choice she called necessary and right, so she can focus on her kids after the loss of their father.
Mhm. Mhm.
The way that I love that decision,
Mhm. Same.
the way that I love that, I mean, Kelly Clarkson, we may forget that she built herself from American Idol.
Yep. Mhm.
I can't think of another American Idol that is more successful than her, although Fantasia gives her a
Probably J
good.
Hunt. She didn't
Yeah,
win, but she got 3rd place, but I would say, she got her an Emmy, she got a TV show, she got a Gram she out there.
she had a movie, she had a lot of things going,
Mhm.
um, her music is still phenomenal, her voice is still, phenomenal. And there's the security in yourself and knowing that like what you love you can always come back to, but what needs you the most right now. There's a lot of people who would have a fear of I'm walking away for something in my prime. How is it going to affect my career? And she's just saying that's not what matters right now.
And I love it. As especially, as a mom, it's like, yeah, this is a no-brainer. Like your career, if you wanted it, at the end of the day, she probably got enough money to be fine for lifetimes, to be honest.
Mhm.
Some people though, even with enough money, they need more and more exposure, more and more. I don't want people to forget about me. That she understands that the time that she has with her kids, that you actually can't go back to that. You can't go back to when they're 11 and 9 and be more
Yeah.
so in pursuit of your career. And so I love this decision. I've always liked Kelly Clarkson. She just seems real clear about who she is, down to
Mhm.
earth, and um respectful of like the music that she was doing too, because she got a very soulful voice and she always gave credit to those before her. So I love this decision, and I wish more celebrities would understand like it is okay to take a step back. There's a Black woman, Michaela Coles, who did the TV show Chewing Gum. I don't know if you ever seen that.
I
Um,
have.
and I May Destroy You, and she talked about that. Like, yeah, this is the prime, a lot of attention, and stepping away is okay. Go take a year off and go do your thing. It is okay, and I love that.
I hope that people take like her idea, because so many of us work ourselves to the ground trying to chase, and I'm a victim of that as well,
Mhm.
right? I
Same.
I recorded my podcast on Thursday night, exhausted. I started a new medication. It was giving me headaches, everything. And I mean, I was vocal about it, but never did I said, let me just not record a podcast this
Yeah.
week. I'm like, no, I have to, keep this up. But I do love the being like, I can step away and it's going to be okay. And there's like a trust in the universe or whatever you believe in, that when it's ready for you again, and it'll come to you again, and that fame goes in cycles,
Mhm. Mhm.
and to just trust that. And also, I love moms who put their kids first.
Mhm. Period.
You don't see that, as especially in the like celebrity sphere, as much anymore. You don't always see that sometimes.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
I mean, I understand that there are a lot of women out there who don't have the funds and can't do that, and that's a completely different topic. But when you can, and you choose to, and you choose like your family and your life, and to me that is, some people say, well, then that you're not independent or you're not strong. To me, that is the most independent and strong thing that you can do.
Yeah, there's no question about that, and I think, there's this one guy, I don't even remember his name, I'm not gonna lie, but he was a one-hit wonder. One
Mhm.
song, really popular, I remember it, And he basically was like, and that's all I needed. I got all the money that I needed from that one song. I don't need to do any of this other stuff. And I think there's something about American culture that is chasing more and more and more and more and more, that even that's
Mhm.
why we have people who are billionaires. Even billions isn't enough. They have to keep
Yeah.
accumulating in money. And so the people that are grounded in what matters, family, their themselves, the people that they love, I think they
Mhm.
always kind of walk in their purpose. Like, okay, my impact is this. Like somebody like Denzel, he's been acting forever, right? Um,
Mhm.
and he don't come off as a chaser to me, right? He's not trying to be everything and everywhere all the time.
Mhm.
Especially as he's gotten older, he's talked about that. So I think that's what I love, and that's what I hope more moms take the time to do. Just if it's not survival, right? I understand if you got to work and you're doing 45 hours and all this stuff, but if you have the means,
Mhm.
that's a really important step to take.
Yeah. I've also been loved. There are a lot of celebrities, moms and dads, like actors and actresses, who have been taking different roles, and they say that, when you take an acting job, you're taking away time from your children, and they, had this feeling and desire, like, if I'm gonna take away time from my children, I'm gonna do it for something that I believe in.
Hmm.
And I'm not just gonna do it because I'm chasing the biggest blockbuster. I'm gonna do something that, is worthwhile, says something that my kids might like, things like that. In a world where everything feels super chaotic, I love that there are moments and people out there that are doing and choosing this.
100% agree. And I also love there's some celebrities, these are like maybe more obscure, but Linnell Grant and Toby Nwigwe, they're both hip hop artists. They take
I
their
know
kids
about.
they take their
Yeah.
family everywhere, all of them. And I kind of love that too. Like I'm doing the stuff that I love. I'm following my purpose. And that includes making sure wherever I go, I get to bring my family with me on sets, on stage, in
Mhm.
interviews. I love that too.
There's a duo, a husband-wife duo, Johnny Swim, and they worked with them, and they also take all of their kids on tour and everything like that, so it is really cool. All right, our last topic is that Bad Bunny wins a Grammy. Wins more than a Grammy, but he wins big in the Grammys.
Yeah. First for best album, he's the first to do it. Yeah.
I I love that for him. I also love that he gave his speech in Spanish. It was like the biggest fuck you to everything going around. And if some of the listeners or the people that are watching don't know, Bad Bunny is performing the halftime show. It will be when this releases, it would have already happened, but for Super Bowl Sunday this week or last week, however. Anyways, he's performing a halftime show
Yeah.
on Sunday. And he's gotten a lot of backlash, which is crazy to me that his music is not American and he's not an American, even though he's Puerto Rican. And because his music is in Spanish, and it's become so big that they have an alternative halftime show, which is wild.
Isn't it? it's like
Which is
it's it's like what they did after Beyonce won best album for that country thing. They added a
yeah,
category. Well, we don't want that to happen again, so let's do contemporary for people like her and keep
yep.
country what it is.
It's just like it's giving the kid who didn't get invited to the party because they're mean, so they throw an alternative party for them and their mean friends. You know what I mean? It's not giving good energy. And
Right.
then I've been on my TikTok has been showing me a lot of stories about that, and that their opener is Kid Rock.
Wait a
I
minute.
didn't
For the NFL halftime?
not for the alternative halftime show.
Oh, like this isn't even NFL connected. This is that weird American thing. Oh, okay, yeah, that's crazy. And also, like, y'all can have that. Cause name a Kid Rock song. All right, cool.
Apparently his music is highly I didn't know. I mean, like, there's probably, like, a Kid Rock song that I knew as a kid, but I didn't know that he has a whole song about dating
A
underage
child?
women.
Yes. Neither did I, because who listens to Kid Rock? You know? All I remember is when he first came out, he was trying to rap.
There's a Kid Rock song, 'cause I think Kid Rock is from Michigan. I'm positive. So there's probably, like, Being Here, there's probably, like, a song that is, so yeah, he's from Detroit.
Mm.
And I imagine when they say he's from Detroit, I mean, I'm guessing they mean that he's from some suburb next to Detroit.
Most like
Yeah, Romeo, Michigan. Yeah.
okay.
That's what, like when even Eminem is technically from Warren, although the side of Warren he was on is basically Detroit, but still, like
Yeah.
when people say Detroit, they usually mean like Detroit adjacent.
Yeah.
Um, but so that's probably why I know a little bit more of his music, just because it's connected to
Mhm.
where I live and I'm from. Um, but he's apparently highly problematic, and the channel who's doing it is Turning Point USA, and they're going to be on a Christian network.
Mhm.
And someone's like, "Oh, so we're going to be on a Christian network, and Kid Rock of all people is going to be the person that's like promoting this. This is a great idea." And I'm just like, that's between you and you. But that's why I love that Bad Bunny gave his speech in Spanish, because it was like a big F you to everybody. Like, if you want to know what I say, look it up.
Mhm. And that's it. It is
Turn the
what it
captions
is.
on.
It is what it is. And this before Trump, the United States did not have like a set language that is like it's like a lot of people came in and speak English, Spanish, all kinds of different languages because duh. And Trump has made it that's our official, language. But let's keep it a buck. That's never been the United States.
We don't have an official religion. We don't have official language. We don't have an official like anything, because the whole point of America was to be a melting pot.
Yeah. But now they're trying to make everything official. English, Christianity, and whiteness, etc.
As white adjacent as you can be to everything. So
Yeah.
I love that he came out, stood 10 toes down in who he
Mhm.
is. I also loved just how many of celebrities called out what's going on in our political climate right now.
Yeah.
Also love Trevor Noah taking a
Yes.
shot at Nicki Minaj. Trevor Noah to me is just, I don't like comedy. I find most comedy to be too vulgar and too exploitive just for a laugh. Trevor Noah's like sincerely hilarious.
Mhm. He is.
And so I love that, but, I love that so many people like to make the comment that art isn't political, and I would question them to find a single thing of art that doesn't say something about their political or economical or whatever socio-economical climate. You won't.
I mean, yeah, I think people who say that have the privilege of pretending like these things are interconnected. It's the same people who say that education isn't political. Whether you are acting like you're neutral or teaching something that's historically rooted, it is. It is what it is. So is music, and it depends on who you ask. Like Nina Simone, 100% believed that music was to reflect the times. But yeah, I do think there's a privilege that comes with saying, "Oh, just play sports. Don't kneel, don't distract, do your job. Just sing. Nobody wants to hear about your politics depending on who's speaking and do all that." It doesn't make sense.
I agree. Even I'm an author and my books are fiction. But if you read my books, you will find exactly how I feel about things happening in the world.
Mhm.
And most authors, you can find how they view the world in their writing, even if it's not even super obvious. I always talk about this author, Anna Huang. Her books, all of her character, she has like a very diverse group of characters throughout all of her books. She makes sure she includes so many different races, ethnicities, or whatever. And even though you may feel like that's not a political statement, it is. There's a lot, and I just say pay attention to art, and I love when artists stand up for what they believe is right.
And I think
And
that's also why art is always attacked, right? Because it does speak. That's why you got to ban the books because people are speaking. That's why you got to try to limit, people's access to art.
but I'm excited to see Bad Bunny and
Absolutely.
Halftime Show. I can't wait. As a person who's like I said, my family grew up in St. Thomas. My family's born and raised St. Thomas. Puerto Rico is right across from St. Thomas. So I grew up listening to Spanish music, Puerto Rican music, all kinds of stuff. This is basically like Rihanna in the Super Bowl for me again.
For sure. Yep.
I mean, like Rihanna in the Super Bowl was the best thing. I
No, I love
enjoyed it so much.
that's yeah. I'd be
I was
watching
like,
just
she
to
did it for us.
She killed it. Yeah.
So I am excited about that. All right, we're gonna hop in really quickly to our petty or facts of the week, and it is also related to the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
I just I love smart pettiness that's not coming out of like a thing of like anger or whatever, but it's just really witty and comical. And I'm pretty sure all of us have heard of the Kardashian curse, which to me is wild, blaming a woman for the behaviors of men or other people in general. Um, but Kendall Jenner just joined, I can't remember what, it's a betting sports app, and they collabed on this commercial playing off of the Kardashian curse. And it was, I don't know if, have you seen it?
I did see it.
Hilarious. Like just being tongue in cheek, like, you guys see all of this, but what I see is my breakup got me this plane, or it was very funny. So I want to know, do you think that, I mean, obviously it's a little bit petty, but do you think that it's pettier facts to call out people thinking that the decisions or the choices of dating a woman can curse your career?
I think it's complicated because the Kardashian family has been seen as being really extractive of the Black community by way of who they choose to date, by their aesthetic that they kind of put on. They're kind of taking of Black culture when they want and then throwing it back when they're done with it. So for me, the curse was more rooted in like, the extractive nature of the family. Obviously, I think it's pretty clear. Yes, a man's basketball play is not reflective. They're trying to do that with Megan Thee Stallion and Klay Thompson when they started coming out dating. They're not correlated. So like it's smart for the company to use her to do this ad. And I think I still want to acknowledge the people that feel a way about that family and its use of Blackness when it is profitable.
I know a lot of people, I like to give people grace, but also calling out like attention. There are a lot of things that the Kardashians have done wrong. I love to see when they get it right, I guess. Like, I love to see when they like fully take accountability and they change their behaviors, and they start to really, really reflect on it. Um, and there are, like I said, there's a lot of things that they did. I remember Kim Kardashian with the cornrows and the braids and the backlash she got about, her explanation was she wanted to have a protective style because she was going through the whole Kanye mess thing again, but she also wanted to show her daughter, like embracing her hair thing. And she very ignorantly didn't realize that her wearing this hair would have no effect on her culture, but has a lot of effect on Black culture because she does it and she gets praised. Black people do it and they get talked about how their hair is unprofessional and things like that. And I think that some of that is, it's fair, but some of it's unfair because you don't know until you know type thing. And I just think that unfortunately they've been very ignorant in a lot of ways. And I hope that they can grow from that because they, outside of, what's her name? Oh my, her name, no, because Kim, Chloe, Rob, and Kylie all have Black children.
Well, Courtney, the one
Courtney,
with
yeah. Outside of Courtney, and Courtney honestly is she the worst one to me now.
Is she?
Oof. But I will say that things that people don't know. So we know that there was a whole controversy with Skims, which I got and I didn't get. Like, I mean, when it was going to be called Kimono, was it a cute name for the fact that her name is Kim? Yes. Is it also ignoring the fact that there's a whole culture that kimonos are representative to? Sure. I love that she fixed that. Shame on her marketing team for not picking up on that sooner. But Skims and Good American, actually, they're, Kim and Chloe are the faces of those, but they are actually co-owned and basically ran by a Black woman.
Yeah, I've seen her on Shark Tank. I forget
Love
her name.
her. I can't remember her name either. I found out because I was listening to her on Jay Shetty.
Yeah,
And
she's like biracial Black, I think, but
yeah.
she was like an entrepreneur on Shark Tank, so she seemed like she had a good, solid foundation in terms of building businesses. That was really interesting.
Yeah, apparently she built like a whole bunch of businesses. But I say all that to say, I don't think there's a curse. I think the curse is that they were attracted to a culture without understanding said culture. And I'm very curious. I am so curious as how they got attracted to Black culture specifically.
Commodity. I think it was commodifiable. It's kind of like what we were talking about with Nikki. You change your aesthetic, you change who you're connected to. For them, got them proximity to success, right?
Mhm,
Particularly after that Ray J thingamajigger that Kim was going through. Um, and they use it, and then now that they have the amount of success that they have, they don't really need to access it the way they used to. And I
mhm.
think that it makes sense. It was commodifiable. Black culture is a commodity to some people.
Yeah. But I think the biggest curse of all is just having a bad picker.
I
I
mean,
think
yeah.
that I mean, I mean, also, like, it happens first of all, be clear, and if you date any basketball, football, baseball, soccer star, as soon as you start dating, if they slip and make one wrong kick, pass, whatever, they're automatically gonna blame you.
Mhm.
Um, but also, basketball stars probably aren't the people you should be dating. I'm just going
They're look at Steph Curry, look at
I mean, no, there are
Bam
Steph Currys out there.
and Bam dating Asia Wilson. They seem fantastic, dark skin stuff. I
I'm
mean,
not a big Meg Thee Stallion fan, but I love her and Klay
oh
Thompson together.
no, Meg is fantastic. What?
A lot of people say that.
You
I
know?
don't hate her. I think that she is a smart Black businesswoman, and I think she makes smart Black businesswoman moves.
Uh-huh. So why don't you like her?
There's just vibes that it more relates to her, like, her love of anime and cosplay
Mhm.
that's felt a little interesting to me.
Interesting.
But
Hmm.
Imma leave it at that. But anyways, I would say that I obviously, to finish pettier facts, I think it's facts, like, I it's facts because I mean, we did what we did, and is it petty to make fun of it? Sure. Is it petty to create the thing in general? Like, I think it's facts to just make fun of what people think. I think that's the only way to survive sometimes in celebrityhood is to just poke fun at whatever happens.
It's a smart move, and it's much better than her Pepsi ad from before. So it's a win all the way around.
So much better. Like, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I hope you're learning. And my also favorite thing is her and Booker having like a cute little silly back and forth thing about it now. Like, I love that we can all look back and just be like, that was silly, wasn't it? Let's move on. But I hope that she continues to make smart ads, and Kendall has always not always been my favorite either.
Hendo. That's the one that was in this ad, right?
Yeah, she's the model one.
Mhm.
She be making lots of mistakes.
Yeah.
She be making lots of mistakes. All right, we are gonna hop out of that and then start talking about you more. I know that when we first were talking, you were letting me know that you were having a book come out.
Mhm.
When is
Yep.
that coming out?
Pre-orders are February 10th, and then it ships March 3rd. So right around the
That's
corner.
that's so exciting. What is the book about?
Really, it's called Articulations, and it's a radical pedagogy, but also it's looking at education through the lens of Black women's hair.
Mhm,
And it is rooted in my dissertation, really, where I created moisturized and wrapped healing circles as a hub and a space to work with Black women educators and really reflect on our experiences, our hair journey, and any of the parallels with our hair journey and our educational journey. And
mhm,
of all of that, kind of that was the information that kind of spearheaded this book. Um, how I was able to take the art that was created, the poetry that was created, the stories that were shared, the interactions, the hairstyles, and talk about it in a way that really what I'm doing in the book is explaining why we need to talk about Black hair more, what
mhm,
connections it has to Black women specifically, and then how all of that impacts the way Black women move through the educational apparatus.
mhm,
And yeah, I do it in a way that I'm trying to honor the stories of the women that shared with me. I also infuse my own story. And it's a transdisciplinary kind of approach where I talk about the stats, like we were talking about how many Black women relax their hair versus now, how social media has changed the game in terms of access to hair care, what connections I see with straight hair, protective styles, afros and locks to
mhm.
segregated, desegregated, integrated schooling, all that stuff. So it's that.
I read the first chapter. I'm not a big nonfiction person.
Okay.
but I loved your writing.
Awesome. Good.
I really did. I loved it. I was like, I need more of this.
I love
I
that.
think you can tell that it's very much based off of intellect and research, but your writing style is still storytelling and
Mhm.
engaging.
Mhm.
And I love that. That's why it's one of the reasons why I have the podcast is that I want to be able to reach a group of people, open their ears to things. And sometimes that means giving them a little bit of silliness and pop culture that's still grounded in, talking about more intellectual things and how it relates to culture and drawing people in. And
Yes.
then, bringing in the tougher subjects. And I think that your writing style does a really good job of inviting people in to really get to learn more.
I really appreciate that. I feel like that is really what I want to do. I want it to be accessible. Like, yeah, I do be thinking, I be theorizing, right? And I want a lot of people to read it. I want Black women who have no interest in the academy to be able to still read it and see themselves. I have a 3-year-old. I want her to read it when she's in high school and feel like she can read it and get through it,
Mhm.
and the women that were in my study, like, so that means a lot that it came off that way. And of course it's a whole book. So there are some chapters that, have different things, but the goal was really, yeah, how can I tell these stories? How can I
Mhm.
invite people into a space that, I'm specifically talking about Black women, really. And how do
Mhm.
I allow more people access to understanding and really appreciating what I'm trying to like embrace and highlight?
I love that going back to something that you said, you were talking about kind of the evolution of Black hair through the decades. I can fully see it in my own childhood. Because I remember, it's still something that younger girls have now, but it's something that they grow out of a lot sooner. But I remember, plaits
Mhm.
and colorful, I don't even know what the ones that had the balls and they like crossed and those all went in your hair. Yeah. And I can see my evolution from that and just having like little twists in my hair. And my hair was always, I think that was one of the reasons why I really wanted long hair, but my hair was always long and thick for the most part. And I guess in comparison. And even back then, I remember the association that long hair is beautiful because
Mhm.
everyone always, oh my gosh, your daughter's hair is so thick and long and beautiful. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Um,
definitely.
and then I think about kind of my evolution. So then when I get into middle school, all of a sudden no one's wearing these hairstyles anymore.
Mhm.
And I have to figure out what my hair is going to look like. And there was a point where my friends tried to flat iron my hair and
Mhm.
I had no chemicals. Like I said, my hair was curly, right? I can't remember what number letter it is. I can't. My hair's always been like a curly wavy thing and it's always just been too complicated for me to try to pin down. But it would not take a and this is when flat irons weren't the best. Like girls don't know these days. Y'all are lucky. Y'all got some great flat irons in your lives. This is when flat irons weren't always the best. And my mom wasn't always invested in getting the best of the flat irons. And so my hair would flat iron mostly. And then by the time it came for pictures, it was a big poof.
Mhm.
So my friends
Mhm.
were pissed and we were doing like group photos. And so one day they decided they're going to flat iron my hair with a curling iron. Burnt both sides of my ears. Like I had like big bubbles on both sides of my
Yeah.
ear. And that's when my mom finally took me to start getting texturizers
Mm.
because she really didn't want me to get a relaxer. So this was like her middle ground.
Mhm.
And that's when I started kind of having my hair flat iron, but I played sports and I wasn't that interested in it. And then high school, it became a thing. I wasn't that, but I mean, I started flat ironing my own hair and then I started relaxers. And I don't know if you remember Dr. Miracle.
Yeah.
Oh, you can feel it working,
Mhm.
which is just them putting like rosemary and mint in it so that the burning sensation didn't feel like a burning sensation. It felt more like a tingling
Mhm.
sensation.
Mhm.
And then I remember every time I tried to wear my hair curly after that, and obviously my curl patterns weren't there, but I would be mocked and people would say, I am, I have a lot of different ethnicities and cultures in my background, from all over. That happens for a lot of Black people. That also happens for a lot of people who are West Indian, Caribbean, because a lot of people come from all over and migrate around the islands. But I remember people were like, who are you trying to be? You trying to be mixed with you wearing your hair curly. And every time I just tried to wear my natural hair, I always got that. And it, came to the point where I actually hated my hair being so thick.
Mm.
If it wasn't so thick, it wouldn't take so long to flat iron, and it'd be so easier, and it would lay flatter and all these. And that followed me through most of my hair journey. Ended up cutting off right here, like a whole strip of my hair, which I liked because then my hair seemed thinner, but I burnt a lot of my hair off in the process, and I got it cut short, and I hated it. I come from having long hair and always people telling me how beautiful my long hair is. And then I had that for a while, and then luckily I got to embrace my curly hair journey, which I found to be truly kind of liberating. And but it was in a time where, cuz now having curly hair or letting your hair be natural is like a bonus. People love it. Back then, that was not a thing that you were doing.
Right.
And then my full evolution got me here to my locks.
And everything that you just shared, I think, is exactly what I want people to be thinking about as they read the book. I want them
Mhm,
to think about their journey. What did it start like? Where are they now? How has that impacted their life? And that's like, I think the most beautiful potential of the book is that for Black women to kind of dive into that. It really, I taught a class, critical race theory at the University of San Francisco, and I was actually surprised at how many other groups also had interesting things around their hair. Like someone who was from, not Black at all, but in
mhm,
their community having thick hair was negative, or having long hair meant this or whatever.
mhm.
So like there's probably even more that more people who will have access to thinking about their hair stories. And that is definitely my desire, to open that conversation, to be in conversation.
What are some of the things that you kind of did learn about the evolution of Black hair and how that affected the way that Black women felt about themselves and their culture?
Yeah. In the study, I happened to have all 7 women who were at some point comfortable with their hair in its
Mhm,
natural state. And so I think when you're talking to women who have arrived at that point, it's very different than people who are still, figuring out different stuff. And this is like also what I try to make clear in the book. It's not a knock, right? People who wear their hair straight or relax it. It's not a knock. Like everybody's making decisions for different reasons. But what I learned from the folks in the study is it is really important for Black women to see their natural hair and what it can do before locking in. So there are some in the study who hadn't seen their own natural hair till they were 20 something. They had never seen their hair without chemical or straightening or whatever. Or folks who started relaxing at the age of 3, like that was surprising to me. I definitely remember relaxing when I was younger, but doing that
3
at
is crazy.
3, like, my daughter's 3 right now, and I was just like, "Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine," and trying to be empathetic in that, how a parent is trying to figure out how to do the hair, and
Mhm,
one of the when my study said it was toxic generational programming because they're trying to do our hair to prevent us from experiencing negativity when we get out, right?
mhm,
Like, if I let you embrace your natural hair, that could leave you vulnerable for people making fun of you, perceiving you negatively, etc. And so it's complicated, right? For particularly for Black girls and Black women. And I also learned that from this particular group in the book, I call it texturized code switching, which is
mhm,
basically my way of saying that they were really clear about all the ways in which they could send a message through their hair.
mhm,
So there was one woman who was like, I wore my hair natural to all of my interviews because if anybody was going to look at me sideways because my hair is natural, then I don't want to work there. I'm going to work where, so her hair was protecting her from being in an environment where she wasn't going to be accepted. So it was
mhm,
just different things like that. That was really cool. And then in terms of impact in the classroom, it was really just like understanding myself through my hair helped me be better, more present in the classroom, right? Or understanding that how I wear my hair impacts the students that are in front of me, how they might see themselves, how they see Black women. It was kind of that array. And it's something I would love to do even more of a deep dive in, really focusing in on like the pedagogy and praxis with regard to the hair.
mhm. It's crazy to think that your hair defines kind of like what your job is.
Mm.
I ran into something like that when I lived in California. I lived in Orange County,
Hmm.
which is, if you know about Orange County, you know. And I remember I went on this job interview, and I'm really good at interviews. Like, this isn't me. I just am. I understood at and I'm not talking about like big job interviews, but like basic. I worked a lot in restaurants. I learned really early on that the interview was less about your resume and more about you as a person. So I just learned to just vibe with the energy that was given to me by the interviewers. I interviewed for this sports bar because back I love sports, and back then working at a sports bar was like the awesome thing I could do. Now the idea of working at a sports bar is like, no, absolutely not. But back then it was like, yeah, this will be really good. The interviewer loved me. He was like, I wish I could hire you, but I can't. And I want to give you some advice. And his advice was that in that part of California specifically, um, they only hired Black girls who had really long weaves and
Mhm.
had a full face of makeup,
Mhm. Yep.
and that was the way you got the job.
Mhm.
And I immediately thought about one of my Black friends that I had who did just that. I mean, this girl wore a full face of makeup to the gym, and her natural hair was thinner, which I love to kinda talk about because people think that Black hair is automatically just really thick and unruly, and that's not the case at all. She's beautiful, dark skin, beautiful long hair. And she never wore her hair down, and she actually tore up her edges and everything, getting her weaves and everything. And she fully embodied this image. And she also did she used to compete in like fitness competitions.
Mm.
And that's a whole other different level of crazy. But that was something. And I think about that now and how I moved differently in California. California was I think that before I moved to California, I got a weave done once and I hated it. I wanted like I said before, long hair to me was the epitome of beauty. And especially when all my long hair got cut short, I felt like I lost my identity.
Mm.
Um, and I wanted it back. But then this is why I love doing my locks. I can do this. I don't know if you notice, I do this all the time. I love running my hands through my hair all the way back. The
Uh-huh.
problem with the weave is I couldn't get like it started like here. I couldn't get it all the way back. And so
Yeah.
I was like, I don't ever want to do this again. But when I moved to California, I did all kinds of different weaves
Yeah.
because I wanted to, and I didn't think about it at the time, but now I think about it. I obviously wanted to fit in. It felt really weird being the different one and the one that had to flat iron her hair every night or not every night, God, that would be terrible. Every week.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of that people don't think about how they treat their hair based on what community they are in. I would say the most liberating thing I've ever done is cut all my hair off. Not all of it, but like it was here.
Mhm. Yeah.
Most liberating thing I've ever done. And I got
There's a
so much hate from it.
Well, that's a whole nother conversation, right? Because people associate femininity with longer hair, and especially if you're Black, where we are already kind of ungendered in a lot of ways, it's a lot.
Mhm.
But I do remember a lot of folks in the study talking about that too. The big chop is what they call it.
Yep.
The big chop. And for a lot of women, it was really, releasing of stuff, right? Releasing of a past experience, past relationships, um, just starting anew. I actually just saw a TikTok this morning where someone had cut their locks off. They were somewhere snowy. They put them on the snow and then set it on fire. And like that was releasing to them, right? They
Oh my
set their
God.
locks on fire, they cut it off, and they were starting anew. And so there is beauty and power in that. And I think particularly for Black women, we do hold a lot in our hair, right? We
Mhm.
do hold a lot literally within the strands of our hair and the memories in our hair. So I love the idea of a big chop. I love the idea that we are either keeping and retaining or we are starting over through our hair.
The first time I cut my hair off, it was through a necessity. I was joining the military. Don't ask me.
Okay, I won't.
I got 4 more months left,
You're still in it.
unfortunately.
Oh,
That's why I said don't ask me.
I'm gonna leave that one alone.
Woo! 4 months.
Tick
Counting
tick
them down.
tick tick.
The only thing I'm gonna miss is health insurance. Counting it down. But
Yeah.
the first time I did it was out of necessity. And it was sad because had long hair, but I wasn't taking care of it, and I went to a salon to get my hair in layers. I love layers. I love layers more than I love almost any hairstyle in the world, right?
Okay.
Um, they cut my hair super short, and I had been chasing, and for years I couldn't get it back. When I started going natural, wearing my hair curly, all of a sudden my hair grew again. And that was right before I was wanting to stop my lock journey right before I joined, but I still had both. At that point, I had both sides shaved off.
Mm.
The idea was that, oh, did I? I don't know. Maybe I can't even remember at this point. But the idea was I could probably wear my hair over it and cover it. But I was like, no, I don't. I don't want to put my black hair in the hands of these people. And if they see it, then they're gonna make me cut my hair off. So I might as well just do it. And everybody was really upset about it. I enjoyed it. I got a lot of backlash, especially ironically from like Black men more than anything else, which was quite interesting for me to get to. It was like my first experience. I was hanging because I was also around a wide variety of people, and there were a lot of other ethnicities of men who were like, "Oh my gosh, I love your hair. It's so cute and cool, and I love it." And then, which is also, a little bit of a fetishization thing, but I'm not gonna.
Right. Yeah.
But there was like the Black men were so like, why would you do that? You're so much prettier with your long hair. Um, and that obviously stuck in my head. And so my next big chop was my locks. So my locks got really, really long.
Mhm.
And what you said about how much our hair holds on to
Mhm.
our past and everything, so many bad things happened to my life in succession. And I remember like sometimes laying in my bed and being like, I just want to cut this off. But then going back, well, I'm really close to my length goal. I was super close to having waist length locks, which is wild. Though they were way, like I look back on them like super cute, way too long for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then this is the epitome of me. One day I was driving home from work, and I like pulled over, looked up the Native American belief that when you lose someone, because I had lost someone, that you kind of cut off your hair, and the spiritual belief that when you're starting a new chapter, you cut off your hair. So I went home and I cut my locks myself.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, you know what? A lot of women do that. A lot of women do it themselves.
I, it's such and I'm on social media a lot for the podcast and for my books and everything, and I share my life there. And so many people will share that moment on social media. And I was like, no, this is such a personal thing that I don't want to make it into a show.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
I
Mhm.
really, truly want it to be for me. And I cried
Mhm.
after I cut them off. It really, truly felt like a release. And I feel like I'm a different person now.
Mhm.
I
And I
believe it.
quite like my locks shorter.
Yeah. I ain't never seen my hair this long, to be honest. It's the longest my hair has been. And
Mhm.
so, and I also know, similar to what you're saying, I can't do hella long. Like that's just not gonna be me. It's gonna be within this length. My goal is like once it's like here to then reevaluate. But like
Yeah.
this is kind of where it's at, you know?
I love your length.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I think it fits you perfectly. But it's crazy to just think about how much of, and I don't know if other cultures feel this way, but how much in the Black culture our identity is our hair.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And how much of, you were talking about like the code switching and how the way you wear your hair is code switching. And I think about that through the different phases of my life,
Yeah.
what my hair said about where I was, whether that was in my life or literally physically, geographically
Mhm.
where I was,
Mhm.
you know?
Mhm.
And I just think that I I wish that our identity wasn't so much in our hair.
Mm. I kind of love that it's in our hair. I just wish people wouldn't determine our beauty, our worth,
Mhm.
our how much pay based on our hair. But I love for Black people that there's so much. And in part of the book, there's a chapter where I talk about like historically, it was a sign of status. It was a sign of like, elevation. It was a sign of your identity in terms of your culture, your tribe. And I think that's really beautiful. And it should be something that we take pride in the history of it, and
Mhm.
also recognize that the reason it feels like a lot is because people have used our hair to then categorize us or to prevent us from accessing certain things like jobs because we have cornrows or whatever the case may be.
Yeah. And I agree. I think that it being me hating that it's my identity has more to do with how other people treat me than how it is. I love being a woman who has locks.
Yes.
And you know what? One of the things that frustrated me and I had to learn is just kind of not only the misconception of locks in other cultures, but the misconception of locks in our own culture sometimes.
Mhm. Mhm.
In like really small ways of, we as that's what we as a culture, we as black women here continues to grow and understand more. And I think that that's something that is beautiful that you don't get to see in a lot of other cultures. Although I do love the curly, wavy movement that's going on for non-people of color right now. I love them embracing that as well. But learning to grow, a lot of people, I'm not a free lock girl. I don't like free locks personally. That has something to do with like my need for neatness in my
Yeah.
hair. which
Freeform.
I yeah, which I know comes from other things.
Sure. Yeah.
But in some of the belief that your locks are just things that you don't take care of.
Mm.
And that's kind of how you don't deep condition your locks. You don't really put oils in your locks. You just kind of let them be. And that's how my hair ended up being in a way that I didn't like, was another reason why I ended up cutting it. And in this most recent journey has been about taking care of my hair and really actually loving it.
Exactly. Take care of your hair, love your hair, take care of yourself, love yourself.
Yeah, they all intertwine. And
Mhm.
I've loved learning journeys of how, like, learning new things of how to take care of my locks. Like, I just made um some rosemary infused water for my locks. And my this is me about 4 weeks from a retwist. My hair unravels in my retwist all the time so easily. My hair's never looked like this. And just taking the time to nurture it and take care of the hair. And I think that that's something that I want to see more in the culture, is the encouragement of taking care of your natural hair, however that looks.
Mhm. Mhm.
Not just like, even when you wear your hair natural and curly or kinky or whatever, the same way you do self-care, moisturizing, oils, deep conditioners, really putting an effort into showing it love is putting effort into showing yourself love. Like, your hair is an extension of you.
Exactly.
And it is an expression, of you. I don't, there's some people who are natural and they go against women who choose to do weaves or whatever, flat iron or whatever. I'm like, again, that's their business. That's their choice. If that's whatever, makes them feel comfortable, then I don't think that we should ever. I think that loving our hair means loving our hair and letting other people love their hair, the however many different ways. And
Mhm.
that's one of the things that is most beautiful about black hair, is that it can be expressed in many different ways.
Exactly.
So, but before we, get ready to close out, is there something that is really important from your book, or the main message that you really want to get out to people that you want to share here?
I mean, I think the main message that I want is for people to think about Black hair as a critical part of our intersectional identities, and thinking about our own hair journeys will better help us to understand ourselves, which for us as educators is key to being
Mhm.
able to teach from a place that is really rooted in who we are, our ancestral history, and centering really Blackness in a way that I think is beneficial to all students.
Mhm. And then for like the younger generation, because you were talking about how you want your daughter one day to be able to read your book and kind of get that. And the younger generations can sometimes be swayed, as we kind of talked about earlier, by celebrities and things like that. What is something that you want them to understand about their black hair and their journey through understanding their hair?
I think for especially young Black girls, uh, figuring out a sense of self within the constraints of the way we do education in this country is
Mhm,
really hard. And so I would encourage the investment in understanding themselves also includes understanding your hair. And that means sometimes being able to do and play and try different things with your hair that are also rooted in healthy habits. But I just think for young Black girls, I know and acknowledge how challenging it is to find your sense of self within that space. And I would encourage them to do so by not necessarily first, but definitely including their understanding and processing of their hair.
Mhm. I love that. I think that I don't have little underlings, children, mini me's yet, but I think that one of the things that I would want them to do is be able to experiment and feel full creativity and not have to feel like they have to code switch or be whatever to be accepted in the world. I think that I'm very excited to be able to read your full book. I can't wait to get it when it comes out.
Shit.
Also gonna make my mom buy it. Also gonna make my auntie buy it. Then I'm gonna make my other auntie buy it. My family is very like I'm very blessed that my mom's side of the family was very into Black culture. Some of them are, which happens a lot in islands, are associated with kind of the Pan-African group. My uncle, I believe, is like a Yoruba priest. I'm probably saying this terribly, but I ignored it, but I grew up very blessed and around a community that cares deeply about this. And I legitimately can't wait for them to listen to this episode because I hope that they're going to love it. And I hope that I did my family proud in this one, but I'm going to make them buy your book too. So
I appreciate that for sure.
and my auntie Elle, she is also an educator. And you kind of like remind me of her, by the way, in the best way possible. You're very like calm and encouraging and understanding.
Okay, bet. Shout out Auntie.
Yeah. And she has that same energy. So I hope that they will enjoy this. But thank you so very much. Oh, let people know where they can find you, follow you, and pre-order and get your book.
Yes. Easiest way on Instagram is at teach.love_. That is the easiest thing. And in my bio is a link to all the things. The book is via Routledge. So if you type my name, you can find it there. It's also going to be on Amazon. And not that but
I understand. Look, get it. Trust me, I get it.
Yes. And then I'm on all the things. I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Threads, I'm on Blue Sky, but I'm there. Teach Love or just my name and you'll be able to find me.
Heard. Thank
Cool.
you so
Thank
much
you.
for being on here, and we will talk to everybody next time. Bye.
All right. Bye. Have a good one.
Pure Tifa Podcast.